Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Christy Belt Grossman here. I hope y'all had a great weekend. I did as well. I wanted to come and talk to you guys this morning about failure. My last video, I shared with you and I answered some questions that you all had about one of my successes, which was to generate $511,000 in GCI for my team last year. And I think that's awesome, and I'm glad that you enjoyed the video, but I think it's almost more important to talk about failure. So I want to share with you a failure that I'm experiencing right now as we speak, in hopes that you won't have to go through this. So one of the things that as you move into Director of Operations or COO or whatever you want to call it on your team, one of the things that should be part of your daily routine is talent generation. And so on my team, as we were growing and moving forward, I got really busy. And I started working more in the business than I did on the business. And even when I worked on the business, I kind of let that talent generation piece fall to the side because it's not my favorite thing to do. I'm an introvert, and it's not super comfortable for me to be making phone calls and things like that. So I kind of let it go. I also, some of you may be in a situation where you're on a team that's not growing as fast as you want it to grow, and so you think you don't need to lead gen because the production is not there to make that hire yet. Or maybe you've put in systems on your team that have made everything so much more efficient than it was before that you're not going to need to hire for a while. Maybe you're like me, where actually I had great assistants. I had someone with me for 3 years, someone with me for 5 years, and then I had another person with me for 5 years, and I hired an additional person. And that hire that I made, the one prior to, was so awesome that I could top grade and let the additional admin go. So I actually needed less admin than I had before because we had raised the level of our game. And so all those things combined means that I did talent gen for the first 3 years of that last hire. And then eventually I just kind of let it fall by the wayside. And our production was growing and our team was growing, but I had so much more additional capacity because I had hired such a talented person that we just didn't need to hire anybody right away. And so I kind of let that piece fall by the wayside, and I went my merry way. And lo and behold, about 6 weeks ago, my TC walked in. She actually didn't walk in, she called in. And she had to resign immediately that day because of health reasons. No 2 weeks notice, no procedures, no handoff, nothing set in place, and she had to immediately resign. And I wasn't prepared for that because I didn't have a bench. So I am in the midst of doing her job and my job. I got the job back for the first time in 14 years. I actually have been putting listings in the MLS, creating brochures, did a client event for over 200 people last week, all things that I have not done in 14 years because I didn't build a bench. And let me tell you, I am feeling the pain like you have no idea. So I wanted to share with you kind of my 3 things that I've learned through this failure. And I call them my ABCs. So one is always talent gen. Always talent gen and have a system for follow-up. We're all great at systems, so I would encourage you to use your CRM or your transaction management system, whatever you're using for your 33 touch, your drip plans, and set up a follow-up system to stay in touch with all those people. So when I posted my job posting on Facebook recently, I actually had someone post on there who had been on my bench for the first 3 years of that last hire that I had. And I haven't stayed in touch for the past 2 years. And she posted on my Facebook page and said, "Oh my gosh, Christy, I can't believe you finally have a position open. I just took another job a month ago." If I had stayed in touch with her, she might have been my new hire. So always talent gen and have a follow-up plan. Number 2 is be purposeful in your relationships. So one of the saving graces for me is, although I haven't been talent genning, I have been very purposeful in my relationships, and I have a lot of relationships. I do a lot of networking, and therefore I have a lot of resources for my team. So within that Monday was like, I call it Black Monday, right? So Black Monday, when my TC had to step away immediately, within 24 hours, I had a safety net put into place. And I have an awesome TC. I had interviewed 4 TCs. I hired a TC, Alicia Brown with Scalable RES. I don't even know the name of her company, but she's Alicia Brown and she's awesome. And I had hired somebody to take over our contract to close. I also had another resource of someone who had been talking to me about part-time employment, and we didn't have anything available. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, I have somebody that I need help with. And this person ran the supply office on a Navy ship. She's stellar. So I literally handed off my client event to her. She took it to the nth degree. We had an amazing event, and she's been handling all kinds of overflow stuff for me. So I had a huge plan in effect within 24 hours of my TC walking out, and my team has experienced no disruption during this. So I'm really proud of that. So B is be purposeful in your relationships, and C is have a plan C. So my plan C was to put these relationships into effect, and I've farmed out all the different pieces. This is not the ideal plan. I never intended to have a TC outside of my business. We have had an in-house TC for over 20 years. But this has been actually great, and I have learned a lot during this. I now know that our TC can be even better than it was because I've learned so much from our contract to close person that we hired. Her systems are 10 plus on what our systems were, and I take great pride that I've got awesome systems. So I'm really excited about taking some of her systems and implementing those in our business. But you guys, it's been a really crazy month. Oh, one more part of Plan C. Part of Plan C for me is to hire additional leverage. So the form of leverage that took was me hiring a recruiter. So I have hired Lindsay Soprani from Soprani Consulting. Her firm, she and the people on her team have done over 300 phone screenings to fill this role. They have done over, I think over 300 resumes, almost all of them have been phone screened. They have interviewed on video for me over 30. It's probably higher than that by now. And they've sent me about 15 videos to watch, 30 to 40-minute interviews. And of those, I have brought 2 of them in to validate KPA. I have 2 people coming in this week to do life story. And they're still recruiting for me, you guys. So I'm hoping by the end of the year that I'm going to have somebody in that role. And that was my plan C, something I never thought that I would be doing because it's something I should have been doing all this time. But thank you, God, for Lindsay. This has been the most awesome leverage I've ever experienced. They've been so wonderful. So I wanted to share that with you guys because you hear me in my classes and my teaching and my coaching. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, you think everything is so perfect in my world. And what's perfect in my world is that I've learned how to fail forward, and I've learned how to fail forward fast. So I'm failing forward at a faster speed than I've ever failed before. And I hope that some of that helps you and that you guys have a great week and that you do talent gen every single day. Bye, guys.